everybody. Gene here. Welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, where every single week we answer the most common and uncommon questions about tapping and EFT, so you can get the most out of your tapping practice, eliminate self-sabotage, and take the action that you want. Just one more reminder. I've been still amazed at the feedback. I created a little service where 3 times a week, I just shoot you a text message that reminds you to tap. And it's just links to tap-alongs that are already on the website. So it's not new content. It's more about the reminder that the thing is out there. And I just keep having people sign up, and I keep getting emails from folks saying it's such a good, useful thing. And it's grown well beyond what I thought it was going to do. So it's only $20. You don't get the full year because we're about 6 weeks into it. But for the next 10 and a half months, 3 times a week, you can receive a text message anywhere in the world. So if you go to tappingqa.com/SMS, SMS is Sam Michael Sam, tappingqa.com/SMS. And for only $20, not a month, but for the entire year, 3 times a week, you'll get a little reminder from me telling you to tap and sending you a link to give you something really easy to tap to. It will make it easier for you to remember, thus making it easier for you to be in a better resource space. This is Gene Montrastelli, and welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 384, originally aired September 4th, 2019. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Today, we're going to spend some time talking about quitting. And oftentimes, when we talk about and tap for quitting, we're doing it in such a way so that we don't quit and we keep pushing through. Today, we're going to do just the opposite. We're going to talk about and tap for those times that it is really good and important for us to quit because we're doing something that is no longer useful for us, and how that can actually be a really hard thing to do. Before we do that, I just want to send a big thank you out to all the Tapping Q&A podcast supporters. It is because of your support the podcast keeps coming. We've actually created a new website because of the support, where we're putting all of the tapping scripts, and we're going to start putting transcripts of the episodes up there. And that is only possible because of people just like you who have chosen to support the podcast. All of the supporters also receive a number of great bonuses, extra podcasts that don't show up on this feed, the opportunity to ask me questions. Some people even get bonus one-on-one time with me. If you would like to support the podcast and get a lot of these really great gifts, all you need to do is go to tappingqa.com/support. That's tappingqa.com/support. And for those of you who are supporters, thank you very much. The reason this idea of wrestling with quitting has been on my mind is because of something that has happened in sports over the course of the last couple of weeks. Now, quitting is something that oftentimes is something we don't want to do. Oftentimes we quit because of resistance, because of fear, because things get in the way. And like I said at the top of the show, we oftentimes do lots of tapping to put ourselves into a position to allow ourselves to move forward and be successful. And the resistance to quitting is a good thing. But there are also times in which quitting is the right thing to do. And because of the way that we approach quitting, as quitting is a 4-letter word, and winners never quit and quitters never win, there's this cultural thing about what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to act. And once we've committed to something, we're supposed to push through. And that isn't always the most helpful thing to do. So in the last week and a half, what has happened is an American football player by the name of Andrew Luck announced that he was retiring. Andrew is only 29 years old. He was playing for the Indianapolis Colts. And when he retired, he was basically leaving hundreds of millions of dollars on the table. Quarterbacks typically play well into their 30s, and because of the current marketplace, and he is one of the best young quarterbacks. In the first 4 years of his career, he put up statistics and numbers that rivaled the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks of all times. Like, the beginning of his career was amazing, and he's just an unnatural and amazing talent. And he decided, because of all of the injuries, it was time for him to retire. And part of the reason there was so much discussion about this is how his retirement became announced. They are 2 weeks before the beginning of a new season. And he's rehabbing. So they were at a preseason game, which is an exhibition game before the season starts, so they can kind of figure out the team. And as he was on the sidelines, it was leaked to the media that he was retiring before he made the announcement. So the tens of thousands of fans who were in the stadium found out about his retirement on Twitter while they were watching the game. And as he walked off the field, they booed him because he had decided to quit. And it instantly became this thing, so much so that Doug Gottlieb, who is a television personality for SF1, which is Fox Sports 1, one of the television stations that is dedicated to sports here in the United States, got on Twitter and actually tweeted, "Retiring because rehab is too hard is the most millennial thing ever." And this is a person who has injured his knees and his ankles and his shoulders and internal organs and has been through a lot. But still, because of our approach around quitting and because of our approach particularly around sports, quitting doesn't seem possible. And I don't want to brush this off as, oh, it's this macho sports thing, because it shows up in all parts of our lives. This idea that quitting is failure. But there are times where that's a really good thing to do. And in this case, it probably was a good thing for him to do. So in response to the backlash of all of these people chastising Andrew Luck for quitting, Dan Le Batard, who is a writer and a radio personality and a television host, went on his television show, Highly Questionable, the Monday after this happened. So all of this came to light on Saturday, October 23rd. Dan got on his show on Monday, all of this came to light on Saturday, August 23rd. Dan went on his show, August 25th. And to begin the show, Highly Questionable, he gave a little essay. And this is a part of that essay. I've done a little editing just for clarity, because for those of you who are not familiar with the NFL and familiar with some of the people involved, just reading it directly. So it's exactly his words. I've just added a couple of things for clarity. And so this is what Dan said. It's an odd thing to say today, given the worship around the gladiator game, given that football players consider themselves warriors, but sometimes the hardest, bravest thing to do is to quit. What a difficult decision it must have been for Andrew Luck to let down his teammates and supporters and the relationships in the building and the city days before another season in battle. To pay literally hundreds of millions of dollars in future earnings to get out of the fight. To throw away his glorious football future and glorious football fame, and what until now been his entire identity before the age of 30. He must have been in a great deal of pain to choose that. And it is fitting that the last act of Colts fans before his retirement was to boo him for deciding it and to hurt him yet again. Football broke his body and his mind, and at the very end, his city finalized the transaction by breaking his heart. Dan continued for a little bit, and then he said this. But the sports fan is an entitled beast with conditional love, directly proportional to what Andrew Luck did for your fantasy team that week. Colts fans either booed Andrew Luck or the circumstances. But either way, the last sound Andrew felt from the city he always represented with grace was a hostile frustration. Benedict Andrew. He turned his body over to them and the doctors, and they literally chased him off the field with angry noise and self-interest at the end. Luck was supposed to keep quietly choosing pain for us. He was supposed to keep choosing unhappiness for us. He was supposed to push it all down like a man, maybe even developing an opioid addiction for us. Football's daily rigors screwed up his shoulder, his ankle, his calf, his mind, his joy, and his love of the game. He was supposed to choose the fans booing over his love of life, love of his wife, his self, and his health. I found that so interesting and so poignant because people's responses to his choice had very little to do with him. It had to do with what they got out of it. You know, there was all of these complaints. People bought season tickets to see him play moments before the season, and now they're out that money. Or people had drafted them in their fantasy football league, and now they weren't going to get the points for that. He's this physical genius, and I don't get to see him play anymore. And we all can face that when it is time for us to move on and do something new. Because the choices we make impact the people around us. And it is good that we're thoughtful, and it's good that we're deliberate, and it's good that when we make commitments, we live up to commitments. And at the exact same time, we change, and the world changes, and our circumstance changes. And just because we chose something before doesn't mean we can't choose something now. And quitting and choosing away from something sometimes means that there are repercussions to that. It can cost us opportunity. It can cost us financially. It can cost us in a lot of ways. But we also need to be in a circumstance where we're making good choices for us. And so today, I am giving you permission to quit. I am telling you that there are things in your life that you are giving time and energy and effort to are no longer the things that you should be doing. And you are still doing them because of a sense of habit and obligation and because you feel like you just have to. And that is just not true. Yes, there are consequences if you choose to quit something. And dealing with those consequences and making that choice is the best thing for you to do. So in order to help you to do that, I just have some tapping that we're going to do to help you to release, to help you to let go, to help you to be in a situation where you can make the choice that is right for you. So what I want you to do is just take a nice big deep breath. As you take a second nice big deep breath, I want you to tap on the karate point. They're just on the side of your hand. Take a nice deep breath. And I just want you to move from point to point. I have been told that quitting is wrong. I have been told that quitting is a failure. I have been told quitting is a sign of weakness. I have been told that quitting is a sign that I don't care. I have been told quitting is selfish. And because that is the case, it is hard to quit. It is hard to let go. It is hard to move on. Because I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be seen as weak. I don't want to be seen as letting other people down. The reality is there are things I need to quit. The reality is there are things I need to let go of. It is okay to let go of things that are no longer useful. It is okay to let go of things that are no longer helpful. It is okay to let go of things that are no longer healthy. When I quit, I might receive pushback. When I quit, I might receive judgment. when I quit, I might be seen as less than. In the end, it doesn't matter what other people think. In the end, it doesn't matter how other people judge. This is my life. This is not their life. They are not the ones who are living through this. They are not the ones who are having to experience this. I give myself permission to know it is okay to let go of old commitments. The world is different than when I made that commitment. My circumstances are different from when I made that commitment. I am different from when I made that commitment. I must take responsibility for the consequences of quitting. I might have to speak directly to others when I decide to quit something. It is okay for me to quit. Quitting is not failing. Quitting is a thoughtful decision. Which makes sense for me. I give myself permission to let go. What is more important than my past choices is what I choose next. And the life I choose to live. It is okay for me to quit. Because when I quit, I'm making the best choice for me now. And I'm making the best choice for me in the future. Nice big deep breath. I have a feeling as you tap through that, the first time you tap through that we probably poked a few bruises and actually brought up more issues than we solved. Because that's what happens oftentimes in the first round of tapping. We're tuning in more sharply with more focus into the issue at hand, and we actually find a little more discomfort. That doesn't mean the tapping isn't working. It's just the opposite. It means we're going down the right path. So this might be one of those tap-alongs that you need to go through a couple more times. I've also included a typed out version of the script on the website, and it's now no longer directly Bo the player. If you go to tappingpodcast.com and you click on the link for episode 384, you'll see a link down by the player, which will take you to a printable script. Not only is there a printable script that you can copy and paste, we now include a PDF. So you can just print out the PDF and take it with you. Or if you'd like a written out version of the script, if you download our app, Tapping Q&A, if you look in the Android store or the Apple store, it's absolutely free. And it'll give you an opportunity to just see a printed out script, because sometimes people like the written word more than tapping along to the audio. But it's really important for us to recognize it's okay to let go of things that are no longer useful. There are lots of things that you've quit in your life that were the best thing for you. And sometimes we're just able to let them go because we're just able to move on. Other times it takes a little more work, and tapping like this will help you to do exactly that. If you know someone in your life who would find this useful. Please pass this along to them. Don't spam your inbox, but if there are 2 or 3 people out there that you know who could use this, please share it with them. It would mean the world to me as an opportunity for us to continue to just spread the good word of tapping. Again, the goal this year is to get 9 new people tapping every single day. And if we're able to get 9 new people tapping every single day, and not individually, but as a community, if we did that, we would have 3,000 new tappers in the world, which means the world is just going to be a happier, healthier place because we have 3,000 more people walking around with a tool set that is so useful. If you have a question or a comment about the show, I love hearing from you. Gene, Gene, at tappingqna.com. If you're on the website, click on the contact link. If you are in our free app, just click on the contact link and you'll have the opportunity to send me a text message or an email message or a voicemail message right from inside of the app. Also, if you have recommendations for topics, some of the best shows we've done this year, interviews and topics we've covered have come from recommendations from people just like you. The Tapping Q&A podcast, this is Gene Montrastelli. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye. The Tapping Q&A podcast is copyright Gene Montrastelli, Tapping Q&A 2016. All views expressed by guests are those of the guests and not necessarily of Gene Montrastelli or Tapping Q&A.